do you know how hard it was to find? I was like trying to brush up on my, my stuff going and trying to find new videos. You know how hard it is? Every time you type in Will Kiedis, it comes up Anthony Kiedis. Anthony.
Yeah,
I gave up, man.
There. I messed up big time there because you want to search for me. There's 5 million other videos on Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I've screwed myself there. So
that's right. You search up Zorba, and look what you get. You Zorba to breathe.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't dance, so I hate dancing.
Dance. Yeah.
You type in Xander Rose, you get Axl Rose.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
We picked the shittest names out there, right?
We messed up.
Right?
Yeah.
We started our own Greek band for pro wrestling.
It's good. Good snap. Good snap. It's good. Good snap.
Hey, yo, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Good Snap podcast. I'm Xander Rose, and with me is my tag partner, Chris Zorba. Zorba, what's doing, brother?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Finally, we're back again.
Yes, we are. Mate, tonight's guest is the host of the Goober Report. He's Newcastle's Pro Wrestling and PWA's own Will Kiedis. Will, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, yeah. How are you guys?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. What's been happening?
Not much. Just, a lot of wrestling training, a lot of regular training and stuff. I've got some shows coming up in the next few weeks, so just preparing for that. But, yeah, just same old, same old.
Good stuff. Well, mate, we ask everyone the first question, which is, when did you start watching wrestling, bud?
So I would have been about 5 years old. So for reference, that was about the Attitude Era, so like late 90s, early 2000s sort of thing. So it's just one of those things where my old man was a big wrestling fan, so it was just, and it was at like a time where everyone was kind of watching it. So it was just kind of those things where it was on the TV, and then I got hooked on it, and everyone else sort of just like lost interest over the years, but I never did really. And then now here I am. So that's essentially it. Yeah. So I've been watching it basically as long as I can remember.
Yeah. So if you're Greek and you're a teen, and of course we all love pro wrestling. It's one of those things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you still watch the current product and stuff, or?
From time to time, yeah. Like as I've gotten older and stuff, I've got other stuff in my life. It's just hard to keep up because there's just so much content and stuff. So it's hard to keep up on all the hours of whatever, like whether it's like WWE or AEW. And then even I'm watching some like Australian wrestling too, just to keep up with that. So it's like tough to keep up with everything, but I'll like keep up with on like social media and stuff of what's going on. And I'll watch the pay-per-views and stuff here and there. Yeah.
So what did you used to watch? Were you, like you said, Attitude Era or did your dad used to watch WCW as well? Or that was a better brand back then.
Yeah, no, it would have been WWE, WWF at the time, I guess. Yeah. That was what we were watching. Like I don't really remember because like pretty much right when I would have started watching WCW would have went out of business, I believe, just based on that timing. So I think I might have just missed out on that, but I've obviously gone back and watched a lot of that stuff just because I'm a big fan as well. So like I'm a big fan of that, the Nitro Monday Night War era and stuff like that. But yeah, growing up, it was mainly WWE, and then once TNA started, I got into that as well for a bit once that started coming over and being broadcasted in Australia. And then as I got older, just like in my teen years, just wanted to get more into wrestling and get more stuff that I could watch. So there was just like Ring of Honor and indie promotions and stuff that I was getting into. But the main stuff I would have been watching would have been WWE just because of the access of it online and on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair enough. So how do you actually get into the industry?
So yeah, it was something that I always wanted to do, but like most people, I guess, in Australia, they didn't really know how to, just because Australian wrestling is not like a thing like everyone would know in Australia. So I wasn't really sure how to get into, but I had a mate that I grew up with that was like my wrestling mate, like one of my best mates. We were the ones that were like always chat about wrestling in high school and stuff. And then I would have been about 18 or 19 at the time, and he just messaged me like saying that he found this school out in Penrith, which was not far from me, and said, yeah, they got this cool training school. He said he'd already started doing it for a few weeks and that like it's something he would recommend, and he just recommended to me that it's something that I should try. So that was APWG out in Penrith. Yeah, so I started there. Would have been 6 or so years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. So I went to a show, like one of their gym shows and stuff that they put on just to check it out, and like it was good stuff. And then the trainer was there, who was Jay Law, and had a chat with him and stuff. And then I signed up, and I was training within the next week or two, and haven't really stopped since, I guess.
How did you find the training?
It was like. It was tough, obviously, but it was what I expected to. Like, I wasn't going in there thinking it was going to be a walk in the park. So, like, I was expecting it to be a bit difficult and stuff, which it was. But it's stuff that, like, if you keep at it and stay consistent, you'll pick it up over time, which I think is the case for most things. So, yeah, it was obviously tough. But, yeah, if you've got the passion for it, I think you can get through it. So,
yeah. So where are you currently training now?
So at the moment, I'm at PWA at the Pro Wrestling Academy. So I've been there for a few years now, since 2017, I believe. Yeah. So I've been there with, so Robbie Eagles, Mick Moretti, Madison Eagles, Ricky South. They're like the head trainers there. And like, couldn't recommend that school enough. It's, I've gone to a couple of schools. I did love APWG too. Like, that was a really good starting point and stuff. But J-Law, the trainers, I think he wanted to take a bit more time away from wrestling, which is fair enough. Like he just step away from it a bit. So from then on, I went and tried out with PWA in 2017, and a few of us from APWG went and started training there too. And haven't stopped since, because it's really, really good. Training school, really good facilities and really good trainers there. So couldn't recommend it enough. Yeah,
arguably like one of the best places to train for pro wrestling in Australia. So
I'd say definitely. So. Yeah.
I mean, your in-ring persona, what inspired that?
Few things actually. So you, like the Goober stuff, the Goober Report, is that kind of what you're referring to there? Essentially,
well, just everything. I mean.
Just everything.
Everything. Yeah. And we do want to know about the Goober Report too. So
I guess with the name, like that's like just trying to think of something different that's not on the scene. Kiedis was from Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Really, really, big into them. So just one of those things where I'm just like trying to think of a name. And I thought it sounded cool at the time. I don't know. I was like 18 when I thought of it. So I'm like, we'll see how it happens. And then it's just stuck. So I don't know.
Hey, do you know how hard it was to find? I was like trying to brush up on my, my stuff going and trying to find your videos. You know how hard it is? Every time you type in Will Kiedis, it comes up Anthony Kiedis. Anthony.
Yeah, I gave up, man. I messed up big time there, because you want to search for me. There's a 5 million other videos on Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I've screwed myself there. So
that's right. You search up Zorba and look what you get. You Zorba the breed.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't dance, so I hate dancing.
Dance. Yeah, it's just old.
You type in Xander Rose, you get Axl Rose.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. We picked the shittest names out there, right?
We messed up. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We started our own Greek band for pro wrestling.
I'll be the lead dancer. Who can sing?
There's a few of us. There's a few Greeks out there. I can't sing. There's Ricky South. He loves to sing. So
I remember old Ricky. Yeah, he used to train at my. Where I trained. At Vulcans. So when I first started there.
Yeah.
And he had his different name back then too, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
So Will, just going back to, because we were just getting off a tangent here, but just going back to your that's what we do here in the Good Snap podcast. We go off a tangent, but just your in-ring persona, your Goober Report. Explain that to us, please.
So a lot of that, well, a lot of my persona would be heel based, just because that's where I feel most comfortable. Like I've done babyface a little bit before, and it's like it's fine, but it still feels a bit like cringe at times. Just like I don't know, I just feel more in my element as a heel. And then with that was just trying to find a character, because I think for the longest time, character was something I wasn't too sure on what to do and stuff. And it's just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what stuck for the first couple of years. And then there was just got one at some point, I believe there was a match I had for Wrestling Go, I think. And then for some reason, I just had this idea for something to do with a news style promo, where like as if I was like a news anchor, cutting a promo, talking some smack on my opponents and that sort of stuff. And then Goober was just a word that I started to use during matches, and then it got some reaction. So I just kept saying it, and then it got more of a reaction. That's kind of how things work. If funnily enough, you don't really plan it, stuff just happens like that. And so I just incorporated that into the promo, and that got like a decent reaction online, like compared to all my other promos that I'd put out, which were just whatever. Like I put this out around 3 years ago for a match, and I got a bit of a positive response from like fans and wrestlers, and they were just like, "Oh, I think there's something there with that." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then essentially just slowly, progressively over time, it got more into like the news guy media as well, because I feel like there's this perception on media that like it's bad, like people like talk shit about the media in general, and like there's just a negative connotation on that. So I thought I could like take from that for a heel persona and be like, if you just see this guy who's reading you the news, automatically you like think he's a bit sketchy. You're like, oh, I don't know if I can trust this guy. So I think there's just that subconscious that I want in the fans' minds. If they see a promo of mine, they're just like, oh, he's a bit of a dirt bag. So that's essentially how it came about. And then just progressively over time, it just built through certain storylines or certain angles I've done with people. And then to the point now, I think it's like got some depth, which is good compared to when I started, a few years ago. So yeah, essentially, long story short, it's just annoying ethnic news guy is how I can describe it.
So you're basically the Ron Burgundy of Australian pro wrestling.
That's exactly it, yeah. Exactly that. If Ron Burgundy was Greek, like that's just me. That's exactly
Well, you've obviously been wrestling for a while now. Do you have actually any favorite opponent in the ring that you've versed, or a favorite match that you've had?
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, so when I think about like favorite opponents, it's just guys or girls that I've just been in the ring with, either through training or through matches and stuff. Jimmy Townsend is one of them. So we've wrestled through IWA, PWA, Newey Pro. Anytime in the ring with Jimmy Townsend, there's just chemistry there. Same with Dazza from Newey Pro, IWA and stuff. We just wrestled a lot on the Sydney shows, but also on tours, because we have our tour shows as well for IWA, and they're like 3 or 4 nights a week. So there's times where you're wrestling a guy multiple times over that weekend and stuff. So you just build that chemistry. So those are probably my 2 favorite opponents. And Jessica Troy as well. Like I've had some really good matches with her too. I had one at a PWA show about a year ago with her that I thought was really good. I had a lot of fun with. Specific matches with the others. I had a Falls Count Anywhere match with Jimmy Townsend on an IWA show at the Souths Juniors Club back in March this year. I was really proud of that one. It was also like my first main events, like singles match, which was just something that was really cool to be able to do. So we were just able to put something fun together. I had a lot of fun. The crowd seemed like they had some fun too. It was just nice.
Have you had like a hardcore sort of, or like a Falls Count Anywhere match before, or is that the first time you've ever?
Falls Count Anywhere, that was the first time. I had a couple street fights. So I had a street fight with Matt Rogers in IWA a few years ago. That was
that
fun.
Tank.
I mean, if you're gonna wrestle Matt Rogers, you're probably gonna need some sort of weaponry there. So
yeah, 100%.
there was that. And then there was in Tamworth a few years ago. There was like a 6-man tag street fight. So it was one of those things where you rocked up to the venue and they just had a bunch of like weapons just hanging around. Like they had a door, they had like chairs and stuff just going around. So on the day we're just like, oh, let's just make this a street fight. So then we just had some fun there with the weapons, which is pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, not a lot of gimmick matches at the moment. So that would have been my first Falls Count Anywhere, which was a lot of fun. So a lot of fun to do different match types too, just to like get the creative juices flowing as well. Just because like singles matches, tag matches, like I've had a heap of them and stuff, and they're all great and stuff. But I think some gimmick matches thrown in there now and then just like changes it up a bit, which could be fun.
Yeah, rather than just doing a singles and in the ring all the time. And no, it's good. I wouldn't mind doing a street fight one time. I reckon it'd be fun.
Yeah, no, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, would recommend. But not all the time. Like, I wouldn't do it like every week. No
way.
Wouldn't do it every week.
I can't stand watching those death matches, man. They do my head in.
The death match stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I can't. I cringe every time I see one. Like, it's disgusting for me. I see someone bleed a little bit and I start getting sick. So the death matches ones, I can't watch them.
I don't mind the old pizza cutter. At least you know what I mean.
Yuck. Nah, no way. Did you see? Actually, I seen the video last time. A guy pulled out a whippersnipper and started hitting a guy in the UK. That's not wrestling, man. I'm like, come on, that's just stupid.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Nah, no way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that with whippersnipper. I'd use a lawnmower. You know what I mean?
Of course,
it's different. Yeah.
That's
so. What's the most rewarding thing about being a pro wrestler? Would you say?
So for me personally, my favorite aspect is like the storytelling of it. So I think the most rewarding would be like plotting out a story in your head with someone and getting like the desired reactions along the way. So I think because I'm doing stuff at the moment in PWA with Cherry Stevens, who's like my intern for the Goober Report. And it's a lot of fun stuff there that we're doing. And it's we're just been together for about a year now, roughly. And just, the storytelling aspect of that has been really interesting to sort of play with and to sort of get the desired crowd reactions each show and then to get the reactions sort of build show to show. I think to me that's the most rewarding because we're putting it's essentially like to me it's like an art form. So I'm like creating my art and it's getting acknowledged and by the general public. So to me, like that's essentially like the most rewarding is when the fans respond positively to it.
Well, that's what you want. You want that roller coaster sort of like going up and then like they say, dip it down a bit, go steady and then back up for a finish. Yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, you were saying before about, your favorite opponent you've had and that, but if you had to pick maybe just, a highlight of your career so far, what would that be?
Highlights, it's probably some of the shows that I've done where there's just been like bigger venues and bigger crowds. So for instance, PWA ran the Metro Theatre back in April this year, which had would have been close to 500 roughly, give or take, people there in the Metro Theatre, which is like a pretty significant venue in the Sydney CBD for those unfamiliar. So there's been a lot of bands that have played there over the last 20, 30 years and stuff that are pretty well known. So just to be able to perform and wrestle in venues like that has been pretty cool. And maybe also another more personal one probably would have been last April in PWA. This might sound silly, but so the Goober Report news promos I was able to do one of those as a live in-ring talk show kind of thing and sort of debut it as that, which was an idea a couple of us had, but wasn't sure if the promoter was going to go for it, but he went for it. And so we're able to do that and get our own set pieces as if it became a morning news show in the ring, like on a live stream, which is pretty cool. So I think to be able to have like that idea that I had for something a few years ago and to have it evolve and build into something to where it's its own beast essentially, and now it's on a whole streaming platform worldwide, it was I think pretty cool. So to be able to do that, and the people that I was in there with, like we all just had a blast doing it, and I've been able to do those live promos and live segments a few other times, which is pretty cool. So to be able to like do a good job the first time to then get to be able to do them a couple other times is pretty cool.
Me and Zorba were talking before about wonder if he's going to give us any of those Goober shirts.
One day, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we want some Goober shirts, or at least tell us where we can buy some.
Sorry?
Where can we buy them?
They're on Wrestler Merch. You can get them at wrestlermerch.com. You can come to IWA shows, PWA shows. If I see you there, we can get some mates rates hooked up, so that's fine.
Right. So IWA, they do wrestling mostly at St. John's Bowling Club, eh?
A lot of the times, yes. They'll do St. John's Bowling Club, and then a lot of the times we'll hit the regional towns, like north coast of New South Wales or like this weekend. Actually, we're going to the Central West, so we're going to Parks and Dubbo, which is out in the Central West. So we'll be performing there. So they go all over the shop really, but I think their home base in Sydney would be St. John's Park.
So the reason why I say that, Will, I say that for a reason, because my father-in-law is a manager for St. John's Bowling Club. So what I might do one day is go there when you're wrestling and just take what I want, really, because he's the manager there. So, you know what I mean?
If I'm not around, there's probably not much I can do, but Colleen on the merch desk, you'll have to deal with her. So we'll see what she says. But if you can get past her, it's free reign. Go for it.
Good. No.
So, other than Xander at the moment, is there anyone else that you want to face in the ring at the moment, or that you haven't faced yet?
That I haven't.
I can set Xander up. Sorry, I'll just we'll set that up actually if you want.
Other than Xander, of course. No. I've been very fortunate to be able to wrestle a lot of the people that I've wanted to wrestle. But if we're gonna go with guys or girls that I haven't yet, there's Julian Ward over in Perth in EPW. So he's the current EPW champion for Perth, and I've seen his work before, and he's just he's a stud. He's really good. So just someone that I'd think I'd like to get in there with, and I reckon we can do some cool stuff. There's Charlie Evans as well in Sydney in PWA. I just think, she's really good too. We've had a couple tags, a couple multi-man matches and stuff, but we've never had a singles. So I think
that video.
I
found that video. I've seen that one. As I said, other than Anthony Kiedis, that's the only sort of footage I can find.
Probably Julian Ward, Charlie Evans. I think Paris De Silva too. So from the Velocities. So we started training together at APWG like back in the day. So we've started there. We've never had a singles match, which I don't know why people just refuse to book. So that's on them. But like we've had a lot of like tag matches and stuff, which has all been great. But I think I'd like to have a singles match one of these days, wherever we can get that done. So those would be my few that I'd like to get in the ring with.
Being on the road or on tour, any juicy little stories there or funny stories that has happened thus far in your career?
Trying to think. Like obviously I'd like to keep it sort of PG or just like
you don't have to say much.
You can do
what happens on tour stays on tour. Now,
this is the trust tree. We're in the nest here. Okay, you can say what you like.
Like the tour stuff has probably been the most fun as regards to like memories and getting stories and stuff like that. I remember there's like whenever you go to Tamworth, especially for IWA, there's always some weird shit happening. Like so because we get accommodation for the IWA tour shows and stuff. Like Mark Mercedes hooks that up, which is really cool. I remember getting to this place in Tamworth. I can't remember the name of it, but it's probably best that I don't remember the name of it so I don't disparage them. But it was one of the dirt worst places we've ever been to, in the sense that we get in there and there's just like blood on the toilet seat.
Oh, man, these are the best stories.
And like you get like the hotel manager come out and he just like looks a bit sketchy and he's like cleaning the blood up and stuff in front of us. And we're like, oh God, like we're gonna die here. Essentially, that's like outdoor. Like it's like we're in like some outback horror movie, like Wolf Creek shit or something. Like we're out in just bizarro, like Tamworth, like we're like 5 hours from home. Like we've got no mobile phone service, so it's like we can't call anyone. We're trapped here. And then it's like, because I was riding with Jax Jordan for this trip and Robert Oxley, and it was just like, and it was also like 35 degrees for some reason. It was just a really hot day.
Jeez.
So we're like, this is the end of the tour, and we're just trying to like waiting to go back to Sydney and stuff. And we need to leave. But Jax Jordan misplaced his phone, I believe, in one of the rooms. So we're just like, we'll wait for you. And then like the hotel manager, that same guy from before, is just like, oh, like, don't worry, I'll help you look for it. And then they go all the way to the other side of the hotel. And then we didn't hear from Jax Jordan for like 45 minutes. And we were just like,
shit.
Hey, something's happened to him. But like, it was also the end of the tour. And like, we were all like falling asleep and staying awake. But then it got to a point where we're like, oh, he's been away for a while. We should probably go check on him. And then he just comes out with his phone and he's just like, oh, no, it's fine. Let's go back to Sydney. So it's just weird shit like that. It just happens, like, and you meet a lot of weird characters along the way, but it's a lot of good fun. And I'd recommend it to everyone to try and go on these tours, or at least help out and stuff. Because then, you have a lot of good stories. I have a lot of good memories and stuff from doing all that sort of thing. So good times there.
45 minutes. I would have left him.
Like we were considering him, but he was driving, so he had the keys.
Yeah,
we were trapped. We were stuck in town. I'd probably still be in Tamworth by now. I don't know. Like it was one of those things. Yeah.
All right. The manager would probably, the blood was probably from someone he killed like 15 minutes before he's got there or something.
Look, we didn't want to say that, but like that's what we're all thinking. So yeah, it was there. It was a bit nuts.
Yeah, those trips are the best. Like they're so much fun. But that's the thing. You got a lot of stories, a lot of memories that you keep. They're not good memories, but they're memories.
The memories, nonetheless. Yeah, I remember them. So
Yeah, that's it. So, what are your goals in the future in terms of your wrestling career?
I guess my main goal would be to make a living out of it. Like that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Excuse me. Wherever that may be. I'd like to go overseas with it for sure. So that's something I'm hoping to do at some point within the next year, because obviously with COVID that wasn't a possibility these last couple of years. That was something I was hoping to do, but obviously haven't been able to do. So just to go overseas, either like to US or Europe and stuff, and just to go there, make a name for myself there and stuff, and then come back and apply my trade here and stuff, and just like be the best wrestler that I can be. And then hopefully it can open up avenues in certain ways, whether that be overseas or whether that be building the scene here and making this a formidable option somehow. Like I know that's the dream of a lot of people here, is so that they don't have to go overseas and leave their friends and families to make a living, and they can stay here and do that. So that's something that's would be ideal. And we might think it's not possible, but we got Robbie Eagles right now, who's signed to New Japan, so he's able to wrestle overseas and make a living, and then still come back and have his home base be in Australia. So like something like that would be pretty cool to me, I reckon. But yeah, in general, just making a living, whether it be WWE, AEW, or in Australia or in the Indies, just trying to find some sort of avenue within the next few years to do that, because wrestling changes a lot. Because I found like WWE was attainable at some point these last few years, and at the moment maybe that might not be the case, but then AEW is sort of an option, and then at 5 years' time, who knows, Australia could be an option to make some money. So it always changes.
Yeah.
But I feel like as long as you're in the game, like something can come with it. So, that's essentially it. Just trying to do something with it.
The indie scene here, like the Aussie wrestling scene, is sort of getting like some feds are, like you said, you guys got 500 people at the last show, and some feds are killing it. So hopefully it starts to get bigger and bigger. And
absolutely, I think we were getting on that precipice. I believe, like before COVID, there was a lot of good stuff happening, pretty much around the country, and then obviously COVID halted some momentum, I believe. Which obviously it would. Like we're not allowed to have shows for a year or so. And then, like, we had the second lockdown last year, so we had our momentum slowly back up as a country, and then it was back down again. And then, obviously, there's just that general, like, thing of, like, people are still, at least maybe previously, they were still, like, unsure initially of going out to live events and stuff like that. So it's just, like, rebuilding what we were building pre-COVID, I think. And then once we get back on that as a whole country and a momentum, I think, like, we could be doing some good stuff because there's a lot of great talent like all across the country, not just in New South Wales. So I think everywhere you go, there's going to be something special popping up.
A question we always ask our guests that come on is who would be on your Mount Rushmore? I mean, you could be past or present.
Yeah.
But who would make the
that's always an interesting one. I feel like that'll change for me. Like, if you ask me today or if you ask me like in a month's time, that'll probably change. But like, because to me, Mount Rushmore as well is like a bit different than favorite wrestlers. I don't know. Like in my head, Mount Rushmore is just like impact on the business as a whole, as opposed to like just someone you personally am a fan of. So I'll probably put Undertaker on there. Just obviously, I'm a huge fan of him too. I think he's got to be on there just because based off like longevity and being around for so long, being able to evolve and all that sort of stuff, being like evolving his gimmick, evolving his ring style and stuff, and just the amount of the great matches and stuff that he's had. I'd put Taker on there. I'd put John Cena on there. That might be a weird decision. A lot of people hate him, but I feel like people are starting to warm to him again. I just feel like, again,
it's good.
he's like been on top for so long. He's had a lot of great matches, drawn a lot of money. So it's like for like 20 years as well, roughly. Like, I feel like people in decades' time will look back on him more fondly. I feel like they are now. But I'll add, Cena on there. I'll add Hogan on there. Like, whether you like him as a person or not, I feel like you kind of have to have him on one of those because, like, again, he was on top for ages. He did a lot of great stuff back in the day. And also, like, Rock vs. Hogan's one of my favorite matches. Like, it's just unreal. Yeah, so I feel like that's got to be on there. And I'd put The Rock on there too. That one's more like personal favorite, but also, like, he was just, one of the all-time greats. And was also able to like transcend wrestling and entertainment and movies. And then when he came back for his second run about a decade ago, I feel like that helped give the whole industry a bit of a boost, which I think, in general, that was a good thing. So, what did I say? I said Taker, Cena, Hogan, and
Rock.
Goats.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good list, though. It's like who would you like? I know this is hard to pick because you're saying, when people think of wrestling, that's like, the right Mount Rushmore thing is what people say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but who would be your favorite wrestler? Like, do you have a favorite wrestler now or
like, as in like people that are wrestling now or like?
Yeah, or even wrestling now. Like, I don't know. You found a Brock Lesnar or?
I do love Brock. Brock's probably
it's hard to choose. Like, even from when you're from little and stuff like that. Like,
I'll go. Mine are The Rock and Eddie Guerrero. Like, they're my two favorites from when I was watching back in the day. So I'll always say them. Yeah, and then but guys that I'm a fan of, like in the current scene, I do like Brian Danielson and stuff. I think he's phenomenal. As far as like the modern era and guys like that. And Brock as well. I think Brock's great. I just love his vibe. I love his style. He just always has great matches. Like it's just Brock's a great one.
Yeah, I like Eddie Guerrero as well. That was a good pick.
Yeah.
So Eddie's good.
Eddie,
do you have
Eddie
any?
was cool. So good.
Yeah, amazing matches out of anything that he put on, and with Chris Benoit, even all those matches are unreal to watch. Even to this day. Yeah, unsaid name. Blank that out later when you upload it.
We'll edit that in post. It's fine.
Yeah, that's it. So, do you have any advice for any young, inspiring pro wrestlers?
Basically, if you want to take it serious, I think consistency is the key. So, if you want to pursue it and be the best at it, I think consistency in the way you train and all that sort of stuff. So, if you want to do it as a hobby and sort of like a once a week kind of thing, that's totally fine too. Not disparaging that at all. But I think my advice is more in the sense of, if you want to make this a real thing, I think consistency in the sense of going to training multiple times a week, because I feel like at least what I've noticed, people that don't do that regularly, they sort of drop off with the basics from time to time. And if you want to be the best, you got to sharpen those tools as much as you can. But also with paying your dues as well, I feel like that's a big thing that people need once they're coming up. So I think consistency in going to shows and stuff. So this is something that I did coming up, and essentially it's kind of the reason why I'm booked anywhere I am in Sydney, basically, is just because I would just show up to shows, or I'd let the promoter know, and I'd just show up to shows, whether it be PWA shows or IWA shows or even New Pro shows up in Newcastle. I'd make the drive there. I wasn't booked, and I'd just help out and stuff, and you keep showing face to the promoter. And the thing with wrestling is there's a lot of rookies that come in a lot of the time. So you might be on a show and there's 50 other rookies there, which is fine. But I've also found that they get weeded out at some point, because whether with the training, it is very physically demanding. So people stop doing it, which is fine. They have a personal life that they can't make every show, which is fine. But if you're there at every show, slowly but surely people drop off, and eventually you're one of the only ones there. And then someone pulls out because they're hurt. They need to fill a spot on the show, and then you've been there the past 5 or 6 months helping out. And people remember that, because that's another thing, is you might not think that people know or acknowledge the help that you're doing, whether that's setting up a ring or doing the music or working security on a show, which I've done all of those things coming up in my first couple of years in wrestling. And you think, people in the higher positions might not notice that, but they definitely do. At least in the places that I've worked for New Pro and IWA and PWA. So it's basically when the time is right and when you're ready and when there's a spot available, then you're going to be one of the first people that they think of as well. Obviously, as long as you put the work in and stuff, and then that'll all follow. Because to me, the cream will rise to the top if you're good enough, and if you put the effort in, you'll reap the benefits. Whether it's if you want to get on shows and stuff, that's, to me, is the best way. That's, I think, overall I rambled a bit, but to me, consistency is the key to
that's it.
Doing stuff in wrestling.
That's it. Just rock up, go to training. Really important to go to training, in my opinion, as well. So, and going back to the basics is actually a good idea as well.
I think basics as well, because APWA was really good with the basics too. Obviously, so is PWA, but I think that's something people can get lost on too. They do their basics, they do their rolls, they do their basic moves and stuff, running the ropes for the first year, and then sort of forget it. But I feel like that's something as well you got to keep at until you retire. Essentially, like it's just something you gotta sharpen those tools. Like I said, because also if you're on a show, I feel like fans and other wrestlers can tell when you've been lacking or if you don't have the basics quite there. There's just certain things in people's movements where you can tell. And to me, because I've got such a passion for this, I don't really want to like half-ass it. So if I'm going to be doing it, I don't want to be bad at it. So that's my
I think it's good. I think it's good, like a refresher course, especially when a new guy comes in to training. It's always good to get in a ring with them to practice the beginning stuff again, like a headlock takedown, just to neaten it up a bit, even a bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree.
So it's always good when you guys come and join.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were saying at the start where, you've been busy with, organising some matches and shows and whatnot in, the coming weeks. So what are your up-and-coming shows, so for the wrestling fans that want to check you out?
Yeah, so July's got a big one for like at least the main companies in Sydney that I'm working for. So tomorrow, I don't know when this is going to be come out. So at least the 1st of July, 2nd of July, IWA going on their Wild West tour. That I don't know, like fans aren't going to be able to stream that or see that, but I'm letting you guys know I'm going to be there. So that'll be up in Dubbo, which is going to be really cool. And then after that, there's the Newey Pro City Hall show, which is really cool. So that's another cool venue that I like performing at because, last time we got around like 400, 500 there. And it's like one of the biggest venues in Newcastle, which is pretty cool. So I'll be there and I'll be wrestling for the tag titles, which is cool. So it's like to crown the first Newey Pro Tag Champions. So it'll be me and Lucci against Adam Hoffman and Rita Stone. So that one should be a lot of fun. And then there's another St. John's Park show for IWA that weekend too, where I'll be wrestling Adam Hoffman and Rita Stone again. But I'll be teaming with Kingsley this time. So there's another St. John's Park show coming up. So maybe, Xander, you can get your shirt there if you play your cards right. And then for PWA, there's also their next big black label show will be at Factory Theatre in Marrickville. So that's coming up on the 29th of July. My match hasn't been announced yet, but I will be on there. It will be announced fairly shortly, but I'm not allowed to say what's happening there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
You can't give us a scoop.
I'm not allowed. I'll get in trouble.
That's unreal. Just give us something. Give us some crumbs so we can.
He'll be there. That's the thing. All right.
I will be wrestling. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. At the factory.
Thanks, Will. Thanks
at
for
the
that,
Factory Theatre in Marrickville, 8 p.m. live on Fight TV. That's enough crumbs. You can make these crumbs.
Because we wrestled in Marrickville too about 2.5 years ago when we sold that place out. It was ridiculous. We won
undefeated
tag team. We're undefeated tag. We're undefeated tag team outfit. So
I believe I'm undefeated in Marrickville too. So it must be a Greek.
Will, let me tell you, we're not here to play me and Zorba. We might look like we're two Greeks out of shape, but let me tell you, whether it's PWA, VCW, MCW, Right City Wrestling, anything, we're there. We're calling anyone out. All right. Anyone can come on the podcast and challenge us because we are undefeated as of yet. So
I've got many tag team partners. I've got a lot of friends in the wrestling business. So if you're implying what I think you're implying, I don't know.
Will, let me just tell you something. Okay. You're very lucky because there's Vulcamania coming soon. I don't know what Mr. Vulcan's organising for Vulcamania, but it's going to be an absolutely massive event there at Burwood RSL. I'm not giving a plug, by the way. But, mate, let me tell you, it might not be the next show, but we're going to do something. We're going to do something.
Hey, can I be on your team?
Yeah, Zorba, come over this side. Come over this side. Come over on the winner's side.
You just
fights
with people.
You know what? Let's make a faction. Why not?
Grace.
Well, something. Anyway, we'll talk about it another day. Don't worry about it.
There's already like a Greek faction brewing. There's Ricky South, Frankie B's getting on that. Paris De Silva's getting on that. There's a lot of Greeks in Sydney, which you wouldn't even think of. But yeah, so we can have like a whole big super group full of just ethnic
Vinny
Greek.
Vane's half Greek, so we can get.
Is
him
he
in there.
really? There you go.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Aaron
That's
Jake
great.
from
Yeah.
SMS. So it's like,
And got the guys from Adelaide, the Badeo guys.
There's
throw them
Badeo.
in there
Oh.
too. Yeah.
I haven't met them. I want to meet them. They seem like fun guys.
Mate,
They remind me of my cousins. So
they've
Yeah,
nailed it, eh?
they
They've
look,
nailed it,
they're
those guys.
so good. Yeah.
This-
They're another one I want to wrestle, actually. Throw them on the list because, they just remind me of my cousins and it's great. I love it.
Well, if they get lippy too, I mean, we can just wipe the floor. Anyway, look, that's a different thing.
I think so.
Will, thank you very much, bro. You are an absolute legend. Really enjoyed the chat today. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for having us. It was a lot of fun.
Mate,
Where can people follow you if they want to follow your socials?
So mainly Instagram and Twitter. So it'll be at Will Kiedis 3000. I've got a Facebook page too, but no one really uses that. I don't use the Facebook page for anything, but it's there. If you type in Will Kiedis, the Red Hot Chili Peppers will probably come up, but that's fine.
We're old, mate. We use Facebook, so
Instagram, Twitter, that'll be probably my main stuff for social media. So you can find me there. There's wrestler merch as well, which is where I have my merch. So if you're interested in buying something, you can head to there. So
steal it from St. John's RSL.
Or you can steal it from St. John's Park. If you want to fight Colleen, the merch lady, and if you win the fight, you can then get yourself a shirt. So those are your two options for that.
Thanks, brother. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, mate.
And guys, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube page because we're not getting that much subscribers on YouTube, let me tell you. So guys, subscribe. We're going pretty good on Facebook for a little startup podcast. But our YouTube is disgusting. So you bunch of maggots, whoever's watching on Facebook, go on YouTube, press that subscribe button. But this is us signing out for another week. Catch us next week.